And yes, I know I use Japanese watercolors. Okay, I have nothing against the Japanese. I love the Japanese and all Toyota makes, you know. This isn't about discrimination, okay? This is not about racism, okay? This is not about trying to ban the Japanese from existing in Mexico. This is not about it. It's just farming land is farming land, and Japan is not farming land. Mexico is farming land. And, you know, my grandmother's mother was a medicine woman that delivered babies and cured a lot of people that would be, you know, anally probed in these very off to nowhere, middle of nowhere, godforsaken lands. So these farming lands, there's no doctors anywhere, right? And she would have to actually stitch people up and operate on them, even though she wasn't a doctor. But like, again, she delivered babies, so she kind of had to do all of this healing in her own house. And one of the things that she recommended the most was salt water. Like, people would be struck by lightning, and she would put them in salt water or running water in a river, and they would come back to life. Like, that was her way of trying to solve a problem. And she realized that saline, when you ingest saline, like a lot of, like, to the point where, like, the bath water, if you take a teaspoon and put it on a teaspoon and burn the water off until it formed like a little pebble of salt, and it was as salty as the seawater. Like, it had some healing properties for people, and that was her thing. She would just cure people with herbs and, you know, seawater, pretty much. Like filling up tubs of salt water and submerging them and leaving them there until they came back to life. So, you know, that's the type of woman that raised my grandmother. And my grandmother was the type of woman that she didn't really see anything abnormal about her upbringing. She just felt it very normal to see sea creatures out in sea and be like, oh yeah, I saw a dragon at sea and mermaids. That happens all the time. My mother used to tell me about it. So she would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to the harbor and fish for sea, like for, you know, red snapper, and be out in sea for days. And she would come back with the wildest stories to tell my uncles and my mom and, you know, her family. It's like, yeah, we saw the kraken, we saw the dragon. In the middle of we saw these giant squids too, and these giant whales. Like, she would tell us like these giant sea monsters, and that was just her everyday today conversation. Like, she wasn't crazy. She just realized there were sea monsters because her mother used to tell her that there were sea monsters, and that's the way that they knew that they could cure people, is through the medicine of the old, right? So my uncles grew up with her telling them this, and so they were not afraid of the sea. They were never afraid of anything of the unknown, so they would go out into the middle of for nowhere, the Pacific Ocean, and not be afraid of it. And that's how they catch the best seafood in Sinaloa. And so when Ocean Garden got involved, they realized that they were bringing massive amounts of seafood, like abnormally large seafood. Like, we're talking the biggest red snapper you have ever seen in your entire life. Until this day, I have never seen red snapper like the kind that they would bring in. It was abnormally large. So, you know, that's what my grandmother grew up with. And it was just very normal to her to encounter diabolical beings. Like, oh, he's just possessed. He's just being, you know, reigned by a horde of demons. You need to bring them out. She was a very religious woman. So what I'm getting at is right now she's being tortured, right? And she's dealing with a lot of things, but she still remembers. She still has her memory. She's 86 years old and she's still going strong. And she's a very tough old lady. And, you know, we're in serious danger. And she just, I don't know, there's something that she just doesn't want to let go right now. She doesn't want to die. She's waiting for something because she doesn't want to die. She's afraid. She's scared. She's sensing that something is battling for her for her soul. And she's just in a hospital bed right now, just praying day and night, and nothing seems to be, you know, looking up for her, getting better for her. And partially because she failed as a mother. She failed as a mother. She failed as a human being with how she dealt with her life, I guess. But it wasn't her fault. It was Deborah Moore. It was Ocean Garden that ruined her life. Again, another white woman. It was the system in Mexico, the government, the tyranny. It was everything that was pivoted against this woman because she was a poor mixed-race woman that was brutally raped and sold, and she had to deal with this enslavement all of her life, and she still remained kind and gentle and strong of mind and just of essence. Like, she would not hurt anybody or make it her mission to hurt anybody. She's just a very good person. And I think that's why everything has gone really bad for her. Because she just is not a bad person. She's not a bad person. I don't think there's a bad bone in her. And I think that's why people attack her constantly, quite honestly. And, but she's going strong. She's 86, and I think she's going to last until 90. But she's tired. Man, she's tired. And I want to visit her, but I can't, again, because of this, of my situation, of my health, right? I've been dealing with the demons that she dealt with as well.